Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a quick review of the Givenchy PRISME LIBRE Skin Caring Concealer. So I already have their Skin Caring Matte Foundation. I reviewed it about a year and a half ago. Oh no, maybe not even a full year ago. I wish I owned a glowy one. I think that one would be more suitable to my preferences. I do like this. It's a reliable foundation, but it doesn't have the prettiest finish and the shade is not perfect for me. It oxidizes a little bit and it looks a little bit orangey pink on me. However, for the shade of the concealer, I got the match myself in store. So this one is okay. But before we hop into all of that, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm very glad to have you here. I was slightly distracted by the snow outside. My name is Cecile. I live in the Netherlands. It's cold here right now. And I upload 2 or 3 times a week with makeup related videos, sometimes a fashion video here and there. I range from everything to drugstore to luxury, indie, everything in between. I like all makeup. I get what I can afford. I also get some things gifted from my mom every now and then, which is very helpful. So I can do these reviews for you. I just love makeup very much. So if you love makeup too, then subscribe to my channel. And now let's hop into this concealer review. So my plan is to do at least a 2-day wear test with this. It's already pretty late in the day. It's 4:30 at the moment, but I have a very late evening today. So I didn't want to do my makeup too early. So I have my bridge session, which is a game, and I will probably not be home before 1 o'clock. So that would be 8.5 hours. So I think that's pretty okay for a first day wear test. So that's what I'll do today, and then tomorrow I'll start a little bit earlier and I'll do a second wear test based on what I found the first time. So this is the product. I bought mine in the shade W110 because this is supposed to be a little bit more light medium coverage. They say medium. I did watch one review from Steffi Glam and she did say it was pushing it to say medium. So I decided to get one that was sort of my skin tone so I can use it all over, because I've been doing that recently. Not everywhere, just on the center of my face, but I wanted something that would match me a little bit more, so I didn't go for a very brightening shade. Didn't put it on my face yet. We're going to see how that works. So yeah, 2-day wear test. Not wearing anything on my skin right now besides a little bit of moisturizer, but underneath my eyes I just used a wet wipe after doing this beautiful, if I say so myself, eyeshadow look with the Adept palette. So yeah, this is supposed to be skin caring. It's not supposed to be necessary to wear an eye cream underneath this. Now I am 30 years old. I have pretty normal skin and I'm starting to get little lines underneath my eyes, nothing too excessive, but some concealers can really emphasize them. So we're going to see how that works with this one. So without any further ado, let's start applying it. So for today, I'm going to use it more as a concealer and foundation 2-in-1. So I am going to put a pretty generous amount underneath my eyes and then also on my cheeks where I get a lot of redness. And then I like to conceal this little spot right here. I guess I have multiple spots. I'll do half of my face first. Well, I guess I usually let my concealer sit for a little bit, so I'm going to do that as well today. So let me quickly do something with my brows and then we'll get back. So I think that was long enough. I just put a little bit of brow gel in my brows. So I'm taking a clean foundation brush. It's looking a little bit rough, but it is clean. And I'm just going to blend all of this out. So I basically spread out the concealer to be more of a light foundation. And yeah, I agree with Steffi Glam on the medium coverage claim. I have a lot of concealers that claim medium that I don't even feel like they are medium, but they do cover this little spot over here, and this one barely did. I don't mind it. It was more of a test than anything. I do like the way it covered all my redness. I do feel like I could use a little bit more right there, or maybe a color corrector. I don't usually need those, but that just goes to show that this is more of a light coverage concealer, but there is a nice subtle sheen with it, and I like the fact that it dried down pretty quickly. So it doesn't feel tacky, it doesn't feel like it'll slip and slide around, it doesn't feel like it will go into those creases underneath my eyes, but we'll see about that. And I like the way it looks all over my face, so I'm very happy with it. Of course, there's a world of difference between the two sides. I think it's also light enough to use just as an under eye concealer, which I will try tomorrow. But as an all over product, I like it too. So let me quickly bring the other side of my face up to speed, and I'll add a little bit more on that spot. Alright, it's been sitting long enough. I can't find my other eyebrow pencil, but alright. I'm going to leave this and this part sitting for the longest. By the way, I hope the lighting is still okay. It just suddenly got a lot darker. So for the last part, I'm going to take my finger this time and very gently spread out that bit underneath my eyes. Yeah, that definitely helped. I think the brush just took away a little bit too much over there. So this is how it is looking at the moment. I think it looks pretty good. I am going to use a little bit of powder. I'm going to take my Catrice powder. This is in a very pale shade, so it will lighten a little bit. So just a thin dusting of powder. I'll finish up my face and then I'll show you the finished look in just a second. So I'm back. This is my finished look. I added some powder, bronzer, blush and highlight, and I think it just looks so flawless. I think this concealer as a foundation is genius. It's just a perfect finish, and I know this is why I often use concealers as foundations, because I feel like they transfer less, they move around less, they fade less. So whenever I have this longer type of evening and I'm going on my bike through the rain and everything, I prefer using a concealer, and also I feel like it looks a little bit more natural because everything is just sort of the same color but not too harshly. So definitely with the brightening powder, I made it look like a brightening concealer underneath my eyes. I don't think it covers 100%. I do see a little bit of blueness right there. I don't usually struggle with that a lot, but I do have a little bit of blueness there, of course. But I do think it looks really nice. I think it looks quite natural. So far, no weird creasing or anything. So yeah, I'll keep you posted. I'll show you what it looks like in 8 hours or so. Hello, it's now 1 o'clock. I have to be a little bit quiet because my boyfriend is already sleeping right next here. And I am wearing my, my blanket because it's very cold. But I just quickly want to show you my under eyes. So they did crease a little bit. This happened about an hour after the last update I showed you. Oh wait, I didn't show you yet. I'll show you right now. I did a silent update at about the 4-hour mark, just before I went into my gaming sessions, and the concealer was still looking pretty good, just slight creases, but overall still pretty good. And now after a couple of hours later, it's been about 8.5 hours now. There are definitely some small creases, but I still think it's very acceptable, and I also feel like the coverage overall is still pretty high. So I'm curious what this will look like with something of an eye cream underneath and maybe a different type of powder in combination with a foundation tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Hello and welcome to day number 2 of the concealer wear test. As you can see, I already did my eyes. I'm wearing the Adapt Minka palette on my eyes, which you will see a video about very soon. And I decided to wear the concealer in combination with a foundation today. And the foundation I chose to wear is of course the corresponding foundation, although this is the matte version. So this is the Givenchy PRISME LIBRE Skin Caring Matte. I have it in the shade 1W100. And I know at this point it looks pretty good. It looks like a good match, but I know this oxidizes during the day. So it could very well be that at this point the concealer and this foundation are the same shade, or that the concealer may even be a little bit darker. But I'm curious to see how that'll hold up at the end of today. So it's already a little bit later, just as yesterday, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be all right. It's 3:30 right now, and I'm sure I'll be up for at least 8 or 9 more hours. So I feel like that should tell us more than enough, because I did 2 days. I hope so. I did decide to put on a good primer today. This is the Super Base from Makeup Revolution, and this is my current favorite. It made this matte foundation look a little bit more healthy. It spread it out easily. It does grip a little bit as well. And I put a nice, not too thick, but pretty thick layer underneath my eyes as well. So this should be nice and hydrated today. A little bit different from yesterday. So without any further ado, let's see what this concealer looks like in combination with a foundation. I just want to point out that this foundation, just as the concealer, is not full coverage or even a true medium either. It doesn't cover this spot over here. It doesn't cover the acne scars that I have over here. I put a double layer there. So just so you know, if you have that foundation, I think the concealer is going to be the same type of coverage. It's just going to be a lot more gentle underneath the eyes. So immediately at this point, I see that this shade, which is W110, is a little bit more yellow and a little bit deeper, I think. Or just the same depth, but just a little bit more yellow. So I'm just putting a little bit over there. See if this works when doubled with the foundation. And I'm going to let that sit for a little bit, blend it out, and maybe add just a little bit more right there in those inner corners, just like I did yesterday. That worked out pretty well. I'm sure you've seen the wear test. I just put it in if my editing skills are up to date. So yeah, I'll leave that to sit for a little bit and I'll work on my brows. All right, it's been sitting for a couple of minutes, so I'm going in with this. Well, I'm not sure what it is. I think it's a foundation brush. I use it for concealer. It's from Primark. So immediately I sense that this concealer has a very different structure than this foundation. It's a little bit more gel-like, and therefore it doesn't blend into the foundation super seamlessly. And also there is a difference in finish. So the concealer isn't even super radiant, but it does have that healthy, dewy look, which is also caused by the gel-like texture, I'm sure. But I like that look more. So as you can see, as I'm blending it lower and lower, the color is about the same, but it does give my foundation a bit more of a healthy finish. And it does actually provide a little bit of extra coverage as well. So my little birthmark over here is now almost completely gone. So as a concealer on top of foundation, or in combination with foundation, I feel like it does its job. It does provide that little bit extra coverage that you might need, and it does look very nice on your under eyes, which foundation definitely does not. I do feel like this will look a lot prettier with a low coverage, more glowy product. Maybe something like a CC Plus Glow from IT Cosmetics, something like that. But I do think it's holding up decently. I do like the concealer a lot more than I like this foundation, but I am curious in trying the glowy version of this foundation. I think the color is very nice. It's not very brightening, but I don't really reach for brightening concealers anymore. I find they look a little bit gray underneath my eyes. I kind of like this, and then when I add my blush and bronzer, this brightens up anyway. And I find myself putting on a powder foundation to make it a little bit darker. So why should I do that? Why should I not just use a skin colored concealer to begin with? So that's why I chose this shade. I will put a little bit more right there and there. I'm going to leave it sit for even longer this time, and I'll do some contouring and stuff. So it's been a couple of minutes. I did my full contour. I used the ABH stick in shadow, a classic, but it looks good, I think. So let's just tap out this concealer. Yeah, this concealer looks really pretty built up. I think it definitely works to do it in separate layers, but look at how perfect that looks now. And I love the way it looks a little bit glowy. And yesterday I showed you in the footage, in the silent footage, that it also looked really good after a couple of hours. But that it did start to crease a little bit and show a little bit of dryness after about 8 or 9 hours. And I think that may be because I didn't use any eye primer or eye gel or anything underneath. And I did today. And also I used a pretty heavy powder foundation, which was also a little bit light. So I figured I'd use a regular translucent setting powder today, which is of course also for Makeup Revolution, because that's what I'm trying out at the moment. But I've tried this powder on multiple concealers multiple times, and even though it is a little bit brightening, it doesn't make my under eyes look too gray. So I do think this is a good one to test this out. And I'm just taking a little brush again, and I'm going into the pressed powder side. I don't want it to be too heavy. I personally really like the way it looks without powder as well, but I have to admit it looks a little bit more even and a little bit more smooth on the powdered side. All right, this is what it's looking like. I'll finish up my face and I'll show you the finished look, and we'll get into the second wear test. So I'm back. This is my very glam look for today. Yeah, let me show you up close. I think the concealer looks really good. I love the way it all came together. I still feel like it could use just the teeniest bit more coverage right over there, but that could also be the powder that I used or the fact that I tapped it out with my finger at the end. It's just not medium to full. It's light medium to medium. And you have to accept that. I suppose I do have to accept that as well. But I do think for a light medium to medium concealer, it looks pretty flawless. I love the way it looks in combination with foundation as well as on its own. So far, at least. And I feel like I have these tiny little creases here. Let's see if they worsen over time. But for now, I'm really happy, and I'll show you what it looks like in a couple of hours. Hi, I'm sort of laughing because it's almost 1:30 and I fell asleep on the couch again. So my eyes are a little bit hurt. So my eyes are hurting a little bit because of my contact lenses. But anyway, I've been wearing this concealer now for 10 hours, right? Yes, 10 hours. And I think it looks pretty good. There's some small creasing, but that's just the way my eyes look. I think it's fine. I also think the coverage is still there. Actually, I'm quite fond of it. Yeah, I'm really tired. So let me wrap up this video. I think this is a good concealer. I like the fact that I can use it as an all-over product as well, as sort of a foundation and concealer 2-in-1. I think a good eye cream is still a good idea, or something underneath. I think it looks a little bit better today than it did yesterday after this many hours. That would be my advice. So I hope this review was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.